So the whole discussion starts off with Arjuna asking this question. He says, "Atha kena prayuktaha papam charati purushaha anichannapi vashneya baladiva niyojitaha." So he says, what Arjuna is asking is, for what reason does a man act in such a way that it is detrimental to his own welfare? Like papa ultimately is what? Something which is detrimental to our own welfare. Whatever papa karma we do, it comes back to us. So that means it's detrimental to our own welfare. So his question is, why is it that man acts in such a way that it is detrimental to oneself? Right? Anichannapi vashneya. Hey Krishna, anichannapi. Even though they know it is wrong, they know it is bad, even in that case, baladiva niyojitaha. It seems like there is this invisible strong force that's forcing us to do things, even though we know it is wrong and even though it's detrimental to our welfare. Why does that happen? What is that force? So that's how it starts, right? So Krishna says, and we were discussing this at length in the last class, Kama esha, Krodha esha, Rajoguna samudbhava. So that invisible force is nothing but Kama, right? Kama is that force that is forcing us to act, right? If we were looking at how action is influenced by knowledge and desire, right? Those two things we were looking at last time, which is basically that triangle. So in this karma yoga, what did we learn? What is the one power we have? That's the only power we have, right? It's the power of doing. Nothing else. We don't have any other power. It's just the power of doing, right? So I'll just translate this as knowing, right, and doing, and this is feeling. It's the same three, right? And so desire is desire a knowing or is desire a feeling? What is desire? Where does it come? It's feeling, right? So the whole of the third chapter until this topic was between these two, knowing and doing. And finally he hits the feeling, right? Desire is a feeling. So, and what did I say? With respect to doing, knowing is what? How does knowing influence doing? This arrow, this direction arrow. How does knowing influence doing?
Doing is still central to knowing because you have to do it even if you
Correct.
know it.
Which is the other arrow, right? Which is this arrow, right? To know, you have to do. But again, to do, you have to know. So what is that know? This direction. I said knowing is like a GPS, right? It orients you, it gives you direction. But still doing is the final basis of everything. Even if you want to know, you got to do. I mean, as trivial as reading books and doing experiments or whatever it is, it's all doing for knowing this one. Again, knowing is what? Knowing gives you direction. What should I do? How should I do? Right? Knowing is what? Knowing is what skill, information skill, and motivation. So all of these things are there. So that skill portion, how do I do? What do I do? All of this kind of the direction of what to do comes from knowing. Right? So knowing is orientation. Feeling is what? See, knowledge. So knowledge, you need to look at knowledge and desire relative to doing. So these are all looking at doing, right? So knowledge is orienting you. It is telling you, okay, not this way, you have to go this way. And then, you do that. You go that way. So that is orienting, right? It is like the light that gives you the direction, right? That's knowledge is orienting. What is desire doing? What is desire doing?
Intention to do.
Yeah. So knowing, knowledge orients action. Desire causes action, right? That's what we said. Desire causes action, knowledge orients action. Now here, even though I said desire causes action, I need to point out two things, very, very interesting things. And that is, it's very basic to the cultural intuition of West and cultural intuitions of India. So you need to know the difference. So let's say West, the cultural intuitions of West, is desire, actually, this is Indian, or to a large extent, probably even whole of East, India and Southeast Asia and all that. So, the relationship that the West intuition, the cultural intuition of West is you need to have a desire to act. That's what it means when you say desire causes action, which is right, but also not right. So, in the West, they say you need a desire to act, right? And last time we had this discussion. You need to love in order to marry. You need a feeling to do. I need to feel a certain way to do a certain thing, right? So one thing is preceded by another thing. So feeling precedes action, and also knowing precedes action. Planning, 5-year plan, 10-year plan, all of those things. Reason. You need a reason to act. All of these things are cultural intuitions of West. When I say West, after Romans, Christian. These are all Christian intuitions, not Greek or Roman. These are all Christian. Right? These are Christian intuitions. When I say West, it means Christian. Otherwise, they are all different. Right? What unites them in a culture is these intuitions are common. Again, there is a difference between Catholic Christian and Protestant Christian. Protestant Christian is basically this. Catholic Christians have some tradition. Protestants have no tradition. This is very, very true of Protestants. UK, US, Australia, all of those countries. This is very true of them. Right? So, here it says you need to feel a certain way to do something. I need to be motivated, and I need to feel something so I can do something. I need to have a reason to do something. Right? So this is Western. These are Western intuitions. In India, it is here. See, desire. Right? It is this one. It's a double arrow. That means this is default. I said actions are default, right? Actions happen whether you have a reason or you don't have a reason. Actions happen whether you feel like it or you don't feel like it. Actions happen, right? So, why I am saying this is, when you said desire causes action, actions are already there, right? Whether we desire or not, actions are already there. What desire does is constrain action into a certain path, not cause action from inaction. That's basically what.
So let's think about a car, an automobile.
Right.
I look at my fuel gauge and I see that it's empty. Okay. So there's two issues here. I know that I have to refill the gas, and I desire to keep my car going. So there's two things. So what's driving me to go and fill the vehicle? Is it a combination of both, or is it really down to a desire to keep the car going? I know that I have to fill. Okay,
So you don't want to get stuck.
I don't want to get stuck. See,
Right.
but that's a desire too.
It's a desire.
Yes.
But action is like, action has no beginning, no end. Action goes on.
Correct.
Right?
Perpetual.
Your desire is, your knowledge is, when you see the gauge,
Yes.
it is giving you a direction.
Yes.
And knowledge directly affects your desire. It creates feeling. What should I do?
Correct.
And that is, instead of going this way, you're going this way. Right? So if you did not have the desire, you would have gone one way. If you have the desire, you go on the other way. But you keep going. Going is default. Doing is default. But how you go this side or this side, that is what is constrained by desire. So desire does not cause. Desire constrains action. Because action is there whether there is desire or there is no desire.
Is it constraints or influences?
It's influence. I mean, when you say influence, it is really touching action. So I would say constrain it.
Okay.
You're running, but then knowledge says I need to run that way. So your desire is the one that is constraining you to run that way. So running is action, but constraining it into a certain direction is desire, and which direction to go is knowledge. So basically these are, so in the cultural intuitions of West, desire creates action. In the cultural intuitions of us, of Indian and Eastern, desire only constrains action. Action is there whether there is desire or not. Right? So which brings back to like what we had at length, the discussion about, you don't need to feel to do something. Look back to what your parents or grandparents or even uncles, when they were discussing or giving you advice and all that, you do it, it's going to happen, right? They'll say, you don't want to get married? No, you get married. Love will come later on, right? That is this ulta, right? Which is true, right? Because like you were saying, this direction is happening, in the last century or something, right? If you go back to Pride and Prejudice, it's still what you call as arranged marriage, right? So the cultural intuitions of West is very different and not a little far away from the truth. This is, actions come first, desire happens, or desire constrains action. Both are true, right? So that is our understanding. That, you don't need a desire to act. Action can generate a desire. So you can start acting, and then it generates a desire. So one way or the other is fine. So when you understand this, you'll understand all that advice and jnana that you got from your grandparents, your uncles, and all of those things. That is true here. What the West does is, Western narrative is, they'll say whatever is Western is human. Everything else is a step. Human in the old Stone Age used to think like that. Being modern is to think like this. They'll put one arrow this way. When you are modern, you no longer have this baggage. All this baggage is gone. You'll only think this way, right? But that's not how it is. This is true to how nature acts, right? This is even more important. See, what West says is you need a reason to act. And I've had many parents, in the last 10 years or 8-9 years that I've been in Woodlands and teaching, they'd come and say, our kids are so intelligent these days. You would have said the same thing. So, anybody would say this. But, I'm going to show how it is a logical fallacy. Our kids are so intelligent. Our kids are intelligent these days. They ask all these questions. Why wear bindi? Why do this? Why, Look at us. When we were in India, whatever they said, we did. We never asked any question. So we are all fools because we never asked the why question. Because they ask the why question here, they are very intelligent. Right? That you might have done it or you might have heard somebody say it, right? Is true, right?
Yes. And if everybody's majority of the population does the same thing, you don't ask the why question, you just take it for granted. That's about how it is.
Right.
Here is a minority, so people see you are different.
No, not just minority. It's a cultural intuition, right? So here, why is it that kids here, they're not more intelligent than people back in India or anything, or back then?
It's just the frame of reference is different, that's all.
Exactly, right? So, what the education system, even our education system is also, modeled on Western education system. What it's drilling down is, you need a reason to act, it says. You need a reason to act. Any action is preceded by a reason to do that action. And therefore, wearing a bindi, what is the reason? Or wearing a sari, what is the reason? Or doing a ritual, what is the reason? Doing anything, what is the reason to do that? Right? But why is it that we didn't ask it? Because our cultural intuition was this way. See, what does a tradition mean? A tradition means, I call it a why and a why not paradigm. Right? A why paradigm is you need a reason to act. A why not paradigm is you need a reason to stop. So, because action is default. Like let's say kids, some kid, and somebody has actually come to me and they were telling about this. Why should I go to temple? And after this temple was built, why should I go to temple? And they came and asked me, what is the reason? Give me the reason. I said, what reason can I give? You go to temple because that's what we did. Our parents went to temple, we followed them. That's it. We didn't have any reason to go there. They went there, we went there. That's it, right? And we are following the same tradition. So you don't need a reason to go to a temple. Now, you can never win that argument. Because any reason that, let's say, God is there in the temple, and the kid will say, God is everywhere, why should I go to temple? That is true. There is no reason for that. I mean, you cannot give them a better reason. Right? So, do not tackle it that way. It's a category mistake. The question itself is a category. Question is generated here, but we operate here. Right? In a tradition, you mimic action. You need a reason to stop. That means, why do you go to temple? And I was saying, why not? Right? If somebody says, why you do it, why not is the answer. Right? Why not? Yeah.
When I was growing up, I used to ask the same question, why should I go to the temple, right?
Okay.
I was in India at that time.
Which school did you go? It was some Catholic school. Right?
No, not a Catholic school. It was a local school, right? Now I still ask the same question.
Right.
Does it mean that I was never trained into the Indian intuition system? Or
No, you were trained in this. This intuition system comes in the family, in the environment that you live in.
I had a good family.
No, you have this intuition system.
I see, okay.
But this was superimposed on that by your education system. Right? This is what came. So, the question is, it's like, what is the smell of green color? It's a question, but it's an illogical, right? It's a category mistake. It's not a question. The same way, why do you go to a temple is a category mistake. It's not a question. You go to a temple because my father went to temple, my parents went to temple, everybody I knew went to temple, therefore I also go to temple. And that's what tradition does. Whatever they do, we do. That's a tradition. It's a meme, right? It's an action meme. That means whatever they did, we copy that. Actions are copied. Right? So that's what you do. So you don't need a reason to act. Like here. You can never win this argument because we do not operate on this argument. Right? We say we need a reason to stop acting. If you are acting a certain way, if our tradition is hurting a certain way, that is the reason for us to stop acting that way and acting a different way. Right? So just because something is a tradition doesn't mean you have to keep doing. If there is a reason to stop, you have to stop that way and act a different way. So just because something is tradition doesn't mean it's always right. Or it is not, or it doesn't mean it is something compatible with the times. So if you have to stop doing certain way, you can stop doing certain way and act a different way. So for every why question, the answer is a why not. Right? So a tradition doesn't need a why. That's why it's a tradition. Right? So otherwise, it's not going to be a tradition. It's a why not. You need an answer. If your kid says, why do I need to go to temple? Okay, give me a reason why not you should come. Right? We go, you come. But if there is a reason why you don't want to come, then you need to give me the reason explicitly to tell me why you should not be coming to a temple.
Because ours is tradition, right, rather than rules based. We don't have the 10 Commandments or anything like that.
Yeah, see, all of those are this way. Yeah. This because of this, right? So it is desire or reason that precedes actions. For us, reason can precede action. There can be many reasons for action. There can be many actions for a certain reason. So it is dual, right? It is not one action and one reason. It can be many, many different reasons. Another thing, that about desire and action, that I don't know, UK how it is. Like if you're applying somewhere, right, and they'll ask you for a life story, right? And like I know about medicine, where they say, okay, why did you become a doctor? You have to write a story. You have to give the
personal statement.
Huh? Personal, yeah, that's what they call it, right? Yeah, personal statement. You didn't need to write a personal statement. I was very young and I watched this person dying and. Right? So that is a narrative. West needs this narrative. This is the it's like Euclidean geometry, perfect. This circle, this one, perfect. Life is not like life is like this, haphazard.
So basically, to describe the differences in the approach here is you could have two army men fighting in a war. They're in the same bunker, fighting the enemy. One of those soldiers were volunteered to join the army. The other soldier was drafted into the army. So the question is, at that point, their desire to defend the country, is there any way to even say that one person is better than the other?
No. One person reason may be to defend the country. Other person reason may be to hurt the enemy. You are both firing bullets, but you are doing it for different reasons.
But still, you got drafted into the army, and that's feeding into your desire.
Yeah.
So basically, it goes back to
yeah.
the reverse approach, that you had no choice. You had to join the army.
Yeah.
And now you are developing this desire either to defend the country or to defeat the enemy or to save your life.
Right.
Any of those.
I mean, the ridiculousness of this personal statement is, there's this one event in my life.
Stereotype. Everybody has to say it.
Oh, there's one story, and they look at the story, which is the most beautiful story, that gets admission. But the thing is, you don't have one cause for certain thing to happen. Why I became, or why you came to US. Right? Oh, no, I wanted to go and do my research. If somebody asks me a personal statement, and they judge me because of that, whatever, right? I wanted to find out something, that will change the world, and I had this desire in my heart, and therefore I came here, right? And the reality is, something happened. I just, I did not have 10-year goals. I had nothing, right? So all of these are causes, right? Why did you come to US? Because I got a visa, I came to US. Why did I come to US? Because I had the money to come here, I came here. Right? Why did you come? I was very curious to know how it is here, I came. I saw so much Hollywood movies, so many Hollywood movies. So there are millions of reasons asking you to write a personal statement like this, singling out this one desire that caused this action is ridiculous. Right? And it's a narrative that is picking and choosing few things in your life when your life is full of all these complexities, right? So these are the two things that you need to remember. So this is how West works, this is how India works, and if you take this as reference, then whatever we do, because there was a point when I was thinking, no, we guys don't, any Indians do, any of you have 1-year plan, 5-year plan, 10-year plans. Why is it? It does not make sense to us, right? But you go ask, especially in corporate environment, what is your 5-year career goal? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if I like something, I'll go do that. I don't have a 5-year goal. I don't have a 10-year goal. I don't have a life goal.
So, but does that mean that if somebody says act, you go and act in everything, even though you have no desire, in that particular model there?
No, you don't go acting. All this thing arises. If there is something right, you have to do the right thing. You don't need any reason to do the right thing, nor do you need.
If you don't have desire, you don't do a good job.
The question is that probably it's 100 inputs in a day to act.
Correct.
With no reason, no desire, no knowledge, right? So of the 100 things that you have been asked to act on,
Right.
do you then have to correlate, even in that model,
Right.
correlate back to a desire
Oh,
and knowledge
definitely.
and say,
So,
then I've got
that
to
is-
pick these ones to act on.
So that is, action is default, reasons come later. So it's not saying blindly act, it's saying act first. And then pick the reasons.
Align itself with it.
Right. And act first, motivation comes later.
But
Don't wait for motivation.
But quality of work is going to be different when you're acting without desire versus acting
No,
with desire. Because you are much more motivated.
No, but there are instances where after doing, you get motivated and you like it and do. Right? You get motivation after doing. So if you are waiting for motivation to do, it might never come.
People with passion probably do a better job, because they're already passionate.
No, see, that is what it's saying. It's like, hey, do not wait for a passion to act. Act. If you don't have passion, even after acting, then you act some other way.
But Sunil, the thing is, many of our actions, are there because we desire not to violate a set of rules or compliance directive or something to that effect. So we do things just not so that we don't break the law.
Sometimes we work for rewards.
So it's still a desire. We may not have the passion or feeling for the action, but we do it just because we don't want to be either different or break the law or come into conflict with somebody.
Right.
So it still boils down to the desire that at the fundamental level, it could be a sort of a desire to survive.
Yeah. I mean, those are very implicit desires. So I'm talking about explicit desires. Right? Desire for survival is there. I mean, that doesn't come under cultural. It comes under natural.
No, but I just said desire for survival because that's the common denominator for pretty much everything.
Yeah. Right.
So, but again, that issue with being drafted in the army, thousands of young folks did not want to join the army, but their desire was not to go to prison.
Exactly.
So they joined the army. They had no choice.
So not everybody who joins the army comes there for a certain desire.
But no, the desire is there. Desire is not to be penalized.
Not with everybody, right? So, some of them might be because of that. Some may be genuinely, I want to save this country.
No,
some I hate the enemy, I want to join and kill them.
Correct.
Right?
Some might just go for money.
Oh, money, or they want college fees or pay. So there are innumerable reasons for acting a certain way. Right? So tying one reason for one action,
Correct.
it doesn't work.
No. So, but when we say action is perpetual, which is true, but action is the driving desire. Is it really true? A true statement at the basic and fundamental level?
No, it is a double.
It's a double. Okay.
Yeah. So desire drives action, action drives desire.
Okay.
But action is always default. So what I'm saying is, you don't need a reason to act, right? To start acting. Karma arambha is what it, to start acting, not to start.
Can you give an example where there's no reason to act? Any hypothetical example?
There's
Where
no reason.
where there's no reason to act. Action is default, and so there's no reason to act.
Action is default for
Yes.
any time.
No. So is there a situation where you can describe?
Any situation, action doesn't need a reason. Action happens, whether we like it or not. Right? Desire superimposes a certain way of doing things. Otherwise, instead of walking this way, desire will make you walk this way. But you're still walking. Walking is default. Desire is constraining it to a certain, in a certain direction, based on what you know. Right? So what this means is, action is default. If you don't get motivation after acting, then maybe for things, for example, things that you ought to do, dharma, dana, and all of those things, whether you, shraddhayadeyam, ashraddhayadeyam, I was explaining the other day, it says, even if you have the faith in it, give. Even if you don't have faith in it, give. Because giving is important than desiring. Right? So in things that need to be done, whether you like it or not, it has to be done. Right? But in things that don't need to be done, you act a certain way, find out if you get passion about it, not, then you can act a different way. So all you need to understand is this is a double-sided arrow, right? It's pointing both ways. Action leads to desire, desire leads to action. Action leads to desire, desire leads to action. Action is rationalized, reason directs action. Both.
But to answer his question, would you say that like teaching shlokas to children is an example of doing something without a reason? Because children don't understand shlokas, but we always know it's better to teach at a younger age than an older age. Right? So we're teaching shlokas even though they don't really
And that's you bring a very important point. Rote learning, right? I say, we learned everything by rote. Hey, that is how you learn. Meaning comes later. Doing comes first. When you learn by rote, you keep more things in the brain, and then things become meaningful. It's not the thing that whatever you learn, it needs to be meaningful in the first place. That's not how it is. Happens by rote, that is action, and then you start unraveling the meaning, lower meaning, higher meaning, bigger meaning, bigger picture. That's how you learn. Learning is by action first, and then understanding at different stages. This is how nature is mapped, right? This is very artificial. This is very, very artificial, and it doesn't happen this way.
The other setback there, Sunil, is you are constrained when you do this plan. See, you are not experimenting other things. My personal experience has been when I did all this 1-year plan, 5-year plan,
Oh, you did
books
it?
and things like that. And ran type of a. You have not explored a lot of things because you are now put yourself. So what happens is when you open up that and explore, you probably find where you really can do better. Your passion you find there, rather than putting yourself into a corporate structure your life. So you never know. So you start doing something, maybe you like it and maybe you excel in it.
Correct. But doing is important. When you start doing, if you really like it, then continue doing. If you don't like it, then start doing some other thing, right? So doing is important. Because otherwise, you'll keep planning and planning and planning. Doing never happens, right? So doing is default, right? Is there any other question on this? So,
So the knowing and the desire. So even though I know a certain food is bad for me,
right.
I eat it, right?
Okay.
So I know it is bad. So what is the relation between desire and knowing?
Next one.
Okay.
That's the next sloka. Very important. Why is desire bad? That's the next sloka. Any other thing?
So I eat because it's tasty. That's why I eat.
Even though you know it is bad.
Even though it's bad.
So you are doing an action.
Absolutely. Sweets.
The desire is taking you now.
So, the third thing also, any volunteer activity.
Right.
A lot of times doing the volunteer activity, you don't know that you're going to really enjoy it, like it, desire it. Any volunteer activity, for that matter. It's more of doing that.
Yeah.
There's desire there too. Desire to help somebody. Why do you volunteer if there's no desire to help?
No. That's the whole point. Even if you don't have desire, volunteer, you might get the desire later on.
Yes.
Especially with kids. Do not stop kids from doing the right thing because they don't feel it. Right? Whether you feel it or not, let them go volunteer and they'll find out. That it's good to do it. Right? Do not stop for feeling to be right, because you don't control feeling, you only control actions. It's like waiting for the weather to be right to do something. It's always going to be like London, like he's saying, always raining. So it's never right.
Just wash the car anyway.
Yeah. Right? And also, is there any question on that? Why? The reason to stop. You need a reason to stop in tradition. You need a reason to start in religion, basically. Okay? Is that clear? Why not? Why do you wear bindi?
When you say why not, for going to the temple, they will say, okay, why should I go? It's a time waste. We could have enjoyed going to the movie, or we could have enjoyed watching a TV or something like that. That's the reason that they give.
You come there and watch the TV. They have something over there, no? Or you read a book there. So why not is they cannot give any reason they give, you can overrule it. But if you have to give a reason, they'll overrule it, right? Any reason is very flimsy. You can overrule any reason. So they need to come to the temple because you are going to the temple, and it's good to go to temple. That's it.
Food is fresh.
Food is good. There are other kids. All those things are there.
We need to make an environment.
Yeah. Okay. So this puts the desire, knowledge, knowing, feeling, and doing in perspective, right? Doing is the default. You got to do. That's the power that we have. Feeling, it comes or it goes, and knowing will be generated by doing, and it will also guide doing. So doing is default. The next thing is Why is desire bad? Or do you think desire is bad? I'm only talking about Rajasic and Tamasic. Let's say Sattvic is there, it's different. Rajasic and Tamasic. Like you said, you eat food for taste, which everybody does, not just you, right? Why is that bad? It's not bad, okay. Or why is desire bad?
Because it sets up a chain of events of wants. So after you are satisfied, that's a short-term thing. Once that satisfaction goes away, you feel the desire for more repetition of that experience.
Why is that bad?
There are these like
Only reason I feel
envy, the effects are envy, greed,
Yeah.
and then all these envy and the infatuation.
Yeah.
They're all because of greed, right?
Right, but why is it bad?
Because that finally it destroys you is what the
How it destroys you?
It's indefinite.
It's
for example.
I mean,
Yeah, right.
it
Suppose
keeps
that-
continuing. It's kind of
Exactly.
Correct.
indefinite.
No. What is it about desire that is bad?
if you don't achieve it, you feel sad.
No, you're going into philosophy. Just I'm saying.
If you don't achieve it, you have a desire, you don't get it,
Yeah.
then you feel bad.
When you get it, then you get more desire.
Okay.
It's never ending.
It's
Never ending. You cannot satisfy it.
But that doesn't tell me why it is bad. If it's never ending, it's never ending. Breathing is also not ending until it ends.
All desires are bad.
Not all desires are bad. Yeah. Right.
No, but I'm talking about the bad desires. Why is bad desire bad? Huh?
Forcing it to do certain action.
Okay, so
They have bad consequences.
bad consequences. Okay, what is the bad consequence?
What is good and bad now may not be good and bad long term.
Oh, you are.
Let's keep it simple. So Sunil asked about eating good food or tasty food.
Yeah.
There's nothing intrinsically evil about eating or wanting tasty food.
Yeah, of course.
So I think that's what I think we should focus on. Is okay if you like.
No. What is it about desire that is bad?
Bad desire causes a bad action.
Okay, fine.
See, for example, I'm lusting after somebody, right?
Oh,
But if I can't get it, I may go kill the guy that got that lady and woman, right?
right.
So that is going to destroy me.
Why does bad desire cause bad action?
Is not knowing the limit?
You're almost close because it affects the knowing. Right? Why is desire bad? Because it affects the knowing.
It clouds you.
This is the other.
Clouds your knowledge. It clouds your knowledge.
It clouds your knowledge, right? That is, otherwise desire is not bad. Why is desire? First of all, we keep saying desire is bad, desire bad. Desire of learning is fine, but rajasic desire, like what you said, why is anger bad? Why is greed bad? Because all of them, what are they doing? They're affecting the knowing, right? That is the next shloka. So if you come to shloka 36, 38. So what Krishna is, this is a very beautiful shloka. Dhumena avriyate vakhnihi yatha adarshaha malena cha yatha ulbena avritaha garbhaha tatha tena idam avritam. You know what avrita is, right? Avrita means veil. Veil something. Avriti is to veil something. So what is this veiling? What is this kama, desire veils something? He says, just like dhumena avriyate vakhnihi. Vakhni means what? Fire, right? Dhuma means smoke. Just like smoke completely covers the fire, right? That's one example. Yatha adarshaha malena. What is adarsha? No, mirror. Yeah. So, the mirror, malena, dust. Like a dusty mirror. Like the dust that covers the mirror. And then, like a yatha ulbena avriyate. What is that next one? Yatha ulbena avritaha garbhaha. Tatha tena idam avritam. That means, just like the fetus is covered by the womb, the skin, the outer skin, the same way, The desire covers all this. It says, and here, Tena idam avrutam. Krishna, the way that covers this, he says. That means it's open to many interpretations. The same way that covers this. He's talking about this, that and this. So what all this, see, it is the three examples mean three different things. There's a lot of hidden meanings here. Why is desire bad? See, desire is bad because what is it that it does? It covers our knowing. Right? When the desire attacks the knowing, what happens? You're biased. Your thinking is skewed. Your thinking is shut down. Right? It affects the thinking by either biasing it a certain way, completely shutting it off, or skewing it a certain way, whatever. Right? The desire affects the thinking, and that's why it is bad. Thinking and actions are related, because thinking is giving direction, so action goes in a different direction. Desire is bad because it veils knowing. Right? And here, what Krishna is saying is, desire can veil us in three ways. Right? Desire can veil us like a smoke that veils the fire. In that case, what happens? You still see the fire, but it is a little hazy. The same way, to do any sadhana, in normal beings, the desire will always be there, just like a smoke covers the fire. That's our default state. You need to remove that smoke to understand that fire more, right? Because you're already seeing the fire, and desire has covered it, and the sadhana is to remove it, to see the fire clearly, right? When that happens, you can be in a positive spiral. You improve and improve and improve, right? That's one. When desire covers the mirror with dust, what is it doing? What is it affecting? Your image is completely distorted. That means what does the mirror stand for? Antakarana, your reflecting ability, right? Ability to think, ability to reflect. When it is completely dusty, the image is completely distorted. What you see about the world, what you think about the world is completely distorted. And therefore, your actions become completely distorted. When desire covers you at that extent, to that extent, then you are going downwards. That means it's affecting you a lot. You can improve when desire covers like a smoke. It is very hard. It becomes harder and harder when desire covers more and more. Like if the desire covers our antakarana, our ability to reflect like the dust covers the mirror, then it is much harder to go to the path of sattva. Right? And the worst thing is when the desire covers just like the fetus is covered by the womb, when the desire covers us, what is the womb doing? It is protecting, we say, but it is constraining, it's restraining, right? Baby cannot do anything. So, if the desire is to such an extent that you are completely restrained from even acting a certain way, then the desire has taken the upper hand, and the only path you have is a spiral downwards. It's very, very, very hard to come back up when you have left the desire to go to such a powerful extent. So, desire can cover us in three ways. It can cover us like a smoke covers a fire. You can always clear the smoke, and it is not a distortion. You can still see the fire. It's fine. We know, we understand. When it covers us, our thinking, like the dust covers the mirror, that means what we think is faulty, it's distorted. It becomes much harder to improve from that stage. When it covers and restrains us into such a way, in such a powerful way, that we cannot even act for our own benefit, then desire has completely overtaken and destroyed us. Coming out of that is very, very difficult. So these are the three ways that desire affects our thinking, our knowing. Right? So these are not three redundant examples. These are three stages of how desire envelops or veils our knowing. One from which we can, there's sadhana is very easily possible. One where, see, what is our greatest asset? It is the clarity of the mind, right? If the clarity of mind is gone, it is easy to destroy you. How can anybody destroy you? By destroying your mind. That's it. They don't even need to come fight you. If they capture your mind, you're gone. Right? That is that adarshaha malena. Right? But everything is just, Indian traditions. You distort Indian traditions, all Indians hate Indian traditions if that's done. Right? So that is putting dust on the mirror. It is no longer reflecting correctly. Right? When the desire is so strong that it completely restrains you from even doing anything good for your own benefit, then you will completely destroy. That means desire has gone. See, knowing is us. So as desire grows powerful, you grow weaker. When you are strong, desire is weak. It's all you can never be both strong at the same time. When desire is strong, the jiva is restrained. When desire is weak, the jiva can act. That is the relationship between us and our knowing, which is our greatest asset. Knowing is the greatest asset, and desire.
Inversely proportional.
Yeah. As desire increases, our knowing decreases. Our knowing is our power. I mean that's what is the power that we have. Right? So if the clarity of mind is gone, your action, can be anywhere. Right? Your action becomes like a machine gun, which is shooting everywhere. So,
without desire, you cannot achieve something. Say you've set some goals in life. Without that desire, you need to have a certain desire to get to something, some point.
No, this is talking about rajasic desire. See, there are three types of desire. There is sattvic desire. Sattvic desire. That's why I keep saying in the class, desireless state is never achievable. There is no desireless state. There is always a desire. Right? To desire is to be human. And desire, kama is karma. So they are both attached. So, desire to learn. Why is it bad? It's always good. Right? Desire to do good to people. Always good. Desire to act good. Desire to do good things. Desire to, improve. These are all good things. These are all need to be inculcated and need to be increased. Right? You need to develop that. So, we are not talking about that desire. This is talking about desires that cloud our thinking, desires that destroy us. Right? So these are the two kinds of desires that we don't need. There are desires that we need, which we're not talking about that. Those are desires that are good for us. Those are our tools. But there are desires that is detrimental to our welfare, and these are the three of them that Krishna.
Still talking about kama, krodha, mada,
Rajasic and tamasic.
So we are still talking about kama, krodha, mada.
Yeah, Matsarya. All the Rajasic version. Rajasic and Tamasic, right? So these are Rajasic and Tamasic. That means these are detriment. These are desires that destroy. See, Rajasic desire is always the one that destroys knowledge. The desire that improves knowledge is never Rajasic. Right? By definition.
What's the example of Rajasic and Tamasic desire?
Desire to go, win something at the expense of others. Is Rajasic desire. Desires to go, like we were talking about Paishacha and all, go kill everybody, that becomes Tamasic, right? So Rajasic means, Asurik and Rajasic. That means, you're acting and people are hurt, but you're not killing. Like Hitler is Tamasic. That means he destroyed, right? Sadism is Tamasic. Workaholism and all of those things is Rajasic. So these are two variations. So Tamasic is the worst. Tamasic is like the womb that covers the fetus, right? It completely restrains. That means desire has grown so much that you don't even see it. You don't even know. It's called as viparita jnana. Viparita jnana means you are knowing. Your whole discrimination power is gone, right? You think bad is good. You think bad actions are good actions. You think you lose the power of discrimination between good and bad. Bad becomes good. Viparita jnana is bad becomes good, good becomes bad. Right?
Suppose I have a desire, a new desire. How do I know right away whether it's a rajasic desire, tamasic, or sattvic desire? Because I may not know until the effects have been shown.
No, you will know right away in the sense that, we'll look at the stages that Krishna talks about, but any desire that overpowers you in such a way that your knowing goes down, it is straight away either tamasic or rajasic.
That's after the fact. Right. So before the fact, how do I know a given desire? It doesn't
how do you?
Label.
Yeah.
It doesn't come with a label, does it?
Tradition. We don't have to discover all this for new. Ages have already given their experiences, right? The whole ages, through the ages we have got people sharing their stories and telling us, if you do that, this happens. And, generations of generations, they've experimented, they've gone through all these stories, we hear all these stories. And we know from their experience what to do, what not to do.
I can give an example. My parents probably used to tell me, don't have friendship with these guys, they don't look good.
Okay.
But I would still insist at that point in time doing that. In the later stage, I probably would realize that yes, that was wrong. But yes, the tradition part plays there.
Right.
We cannot reason out at a point in time when they suggest it, but at a later date it somehow turns out.
That's why reason is such a bad thing. Because you want to use it. See, reason always follows desire. If you desire something, you can make reasons up to do it.
Yes.
Right? So you want to go with them, you will find reasons, or you give reasons to do that. Yeah, to justify it. So and that's how it is. So it's not like something happens and we don't know what it is and we learn from it. No, that's why we have the whole thing.
So is it to again add to your question? Sattvic desire you would typically assume to be something that's in balance, okay, between say rajasic and tamasic. Okay, it's a state of balance. It's an equilibrium, if you will. That doesn't vary too much whether the situation is bad or good.
Mm-hmm.
So any desire that induces a peak in some emotion, whether it's positive or negative, we can immediately assign either rajasic or tamasic.
Anything that is sensory, that wants to increase the sensory pleasure seeking, is always rajasic. And when it becomes, when the sensory pleasure seeking becomes more and more and more, that means desire is increasing, and you as an individual, your power is decreasing. That is when you go to the tamasic state. When desire is so overpowering that the individual is is powerless, that is the tamasic state. So, but desire comes as a weakling, right? It's only when it comes in, and that's the next few shlokas about how it happens. So these are the three ways that the desire actually veils us. Two of those ways, it is very hard to get out of that shell, especially the womb, right? You cannot; it's completely shut off. Mirror, you need a lot of education and being in satsanga and all of those things to clean that up. Smoke is a little more easier to clear that and see the fire, right? So desire, why is desire bad? Yes, it induces bad action. Now, why it induces bad action? Because it destroys the knowing. That is why it is doing all this, right? It's like your GPS is it lost everything, orientation. Now wherever you are going somewhere. Exactly. That's basically, it's hitting that's the next few shlokas. It hits the buddhi. Right? And that's the reason why it affects your knowing. And therefore, anything that affects the knowing, you should always keep away from.
How can you control that desire to just drive it to the sattvic? Do you have control systems in your body to...
Yeah, that's the next few shlokas, right? So in the next, what is that? Yeah. So the next shloka, 39, says, Avritam jnanam etena jnaninaha nitya vairena Kamarupena kaunteya dushpurena analena cha. So now he is saying, Avritam jnanam etena kamarupena. So, these three ways, desire, right, envelopes or veils the knowing, jnanam etena kamarupena avritam. And then he gives a series of adjectives to give us more details on the nature of desire. He says, jnaninaha nitya vairina. That means, it is the eternal enemy of the wise. Wise know to keep it at a distance. They know its power. They know that even though it comes as a weakling, how powerful it can grow. So they always shut it off. In the second chapter we were saying, do stop it at the first instance. That's what he was saying here. They always keep it far away. Because they know it is their eternal enemy. It's the eternal enemy of the wise. It's the eternal enemy of wisdom. Right? Desire is the eternal enemy of wisdom. Rajasic and Tamasic desires. Right? And then he says, Kama Rupena Kaunteya, Dushpurena Analena cha. What is Dushpura? He says, Kama is Dushpura. What is Pura?
Flirt.
Huh?
Pur means flirt.
No, Purna, right? Purna. Fullness or completeness, right? Dushpura means dukkena puraitum. That means that which you can never complete. It means desire is like that bucket without a bottom. You keep pouring water, will it fill? No, it is dushpura. You can never fulfill a desire. It is the nature of desire to not be fulfilled. You can temporarily satisfy it, but then again it grows again. So it always comes out hungry. It always wants. It is never. That's why it's called dushpura. That means that which cannot be filled, which cannot be fulfilled. That is dushpura. Why it's dushpura? Anala. What is anala?
Fire.
Anala is fire, right? Anala means fire. Anila is fire, air. Anala is fire. Why is fire anala? What is alam? Alam buddhi. You know what alam buddhi is? Satisfaction. Alam means, oh, I'm satisfied. An-alam, like English an, an means opposite, right? So an-alam, anala, means that which can never be satisfied. Or it is a fire. So both. Literally means that which cannot be satisfied. And it's the name of fire. Fire is that which cannot be satisfied. Whatever you throw into fire, the fire becomes stronger. You cannot douse it, right? So it's always, you put things into it, it grows stronger and stronger. The same way, you put things into desire, it becomes stronger and stronger. You cannot satisfy desire by giving into it. Indulgence is not a treatment for desire. You cannot. Because the more you indulge, the more stronger it gets. Right? They call this the treadmill effect. Right? You need to do more and more to get to that level. Right? You take one shot, for some days it will be fine. Then to get to that effect, you need 2 shots, 10 shots, 15 shots, just to come to the same effect. So that's the treadmill effect. So kama has a treadmill effect. It is a anala. It is never satisfied. It is dushpura, can never be fulfilled. Right? Dushpurena analena cha. So this is the nature of desire. Desire has no end. Desire is not something which is waiting for an end. Desire is endless. Desire is directionless. It tells you, I need this, and then I will be gone. Then you take it, then you want, something new comes. So desire as itself, it's not teleological. It is not waiting for something. It is open-ended. Right? You simply use that to attach to different things. Desire has no goal. Desire is goalless. That's what he's saying. It is dushpura, it is anala. It has no goal, it has nowhere to go, it is nothing that it can get to satisfy. So that's what is the nature of Rajasic desire. Rajasic desire is like that. Tamasic desire is like that. Clear? Right? So, the most important point of this class is, why is desire bad? Because it affects our knowing. And it affects our knowing, and also, as desire grows powerful, you as an individual grow powerless. Either you are powerful or the desire is powerful. You both cannot be powerful at the same time. Right? That's why it is the eternal enemy of the wise. Or it's the eternal enemy of wisdom, knowledge. So desire and knowledge cannot go with each other. Right? So, okay, another 5 minutes. And now, in the Shloka 40, it is the eternal enemy. Now you need to know, and then we also talked about, the Ch3, right? 6 enemies. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsara. We talked about that. So now Krishna has labeled it as an enemy. So you need to treat it as an enemy. How do you, fight an enemy? What's the first thing that you need to know about enemy? You need to know where the enemy exists, right? You need to know where he is, so you can go attack. Right? So Krishna says, Indriyani manaha buddhihi asya adhishtanam uchyate. Yetaihi vimohayati esha jnanam avritya dehinam. So, desire resides in 3 places. Desire resides in 3 places. What are first place? Indriyani, in our senses first. Manaha, in our thinking, right? In our sankalpa thinking. Buddhi, in our judgment. These are the 3 places that desire resides in. Okay? And it enters through the indriya. So this is the, somebody asked that, how do you fight this desire? How do you fight this tamasic and rajasic desire? You need to know where it is first. And Krishna says, desire is first and foremost in the indriyas. It's in the senses. And what does it do? The nature of indriya through the desire is to seek pleasure. Right? The pleasure-seeking nature of indriyas is what is caused by this desire residing in the senses. It resides in the eyes. It resides in, our sense of touch. It's a sense of smell, a sense of taste. Desire resides in all these senses, sense organs. And that's its first adhisthana. That's its first place. And that's how it enters into the system. Desire enters into the system through the sensory path. And that's where you can discriminate whether it is a rajasic or a sattvic. Sattvic desire is never sensory. A rajasic and tamasic are always sensory. Okay? So, rajasic and tamasic desires always enter through the senses as pleasure-seeking nature of the senses. That is the rajasic and tamasic nature of desire. Once it enters there, when it enters, it is at the weakest point. Right? It is like first time you do something or get into a habit, you are the strongest, it is the weakest. Right? When it is entering through the senses, you are at the strongest point to kill the desire at its weakest point. Because the more it grows, the more your power to kill is going to be lessened, the more its power to influence you is going to increase. Right? So that is what it is. As desire increases, your power and your knowing decreases. So indriya is the first one. Once it's come to indriya, it hits the manas. Right? It hits the manas. That means it hits your thinking. How does desire influence thinking? Bias, right? You make reasons up. Like what you're saying. You make reasons up to go do it. you think, you rationalize in certain ways to maximize that pleasure seeking. You give all those reasons and all of those things. But what is the basis for all that? It is the desire residing in Indriya which wants to maximize the pleasure seeking of the Indriyas. Right? So when the pleasure seeking of the Indriyas increases, its influence on our thinking increases. That means, think of it as a stage where the mirror is getting covered by dust. You are no longer able to see yourself. It is distorted, completely distorted. You cannot see the image. That means you cannot think. Your thinking is being affected by all these kinds of different desires entering through your pleasure seeking. It can be anything. It can be pleasure for prestige, prestige issue and all of those. It can be any recognition, or it can be pleasure seeking, just eating. It can be anything. So when it enters through the Indriyas, it is at the weakest point. But as it establishes in the Indriyas, it starts affecting the mind. It starts affecting the manas, your thinking. When the thinking becomes skewed, when the thinking is biased, it is making rationalizations to go do this more and more. That means your manas is under the grip of your desire. So that is the second place where kama sits. Adhisthana means where the place where it sits. And then finally, buddhi is the place where it sits. When it sits at buddhi, it is like the womb that covers the fetus. That means you have lost the power of discrimination altogether. Good from bad, everything is gone. You are doing viparita. You have viparita jnana. That means you don't know what is right, what is wrong, or you think wrong is right and right is wrong. So that means when desire resides, when it enters your decision making, when it enters, clouds your judgment to such an extent that you can no longer understand what is right and what is wrong, as a person you will be destroyed. It completely destroys a person. So, how does desire enter the system? Through Indriyas. We are talking about Rajasic and Tamasic desires. It enters. So this tradition giving us the knowledge. You're like, how do I know? It says, it always enters from Indriyas. Always be in control of your Indriya. Indriya Nigraha. Why Indriya Nigraha? That is because you want to keep your mind sacrosanct. You want to keep your thinking clear and sharp. As the desire increases, your sharpness goes down. Your sharpness of thinking goes completely down. Right? So that's what they say. So it comes through the Indriyas. And it tries to maximize more and more. And then your mind tries to rationalize more and more and more and come into its grip. And then your power of judgment gets destroyed as the desire becomes stronger and stronger and stronger.
Indriyas are basically sensory organs.
Sensory organs, yeah. Your eyes, your nose, tongue and all that. So it's the maximizing of the pleasure of the senses. That nature of that is where it resides, right? It's the desire for the sense to seek pleasure. That's where it resides. And when you start maximizing that, that's when it starts affecting your mind. And as it starts affecting the mind, it affects the judgment. And once judgment is affected, buddhi nashat vinashyati. Right? So once buddhi nasha, when your sense of judgment, sense of discrimination is gone, you as a person is destroyed. So the entry point is when it is weakest and you are strongest. And always make sure that you keep that desire that comes through the senses at a check. Why do you do fasting? Why do you do? I'm asking a why question. I know that. Why not? That's a very good answer. Why not? Right? I should say. So one of the reasons, or the many reasons that people do fasting, is in this consumption, you need a break for the indriyas to gain, because indriyas are being bombarded with all these the sensory pleasures so many times, right? That once you starve it, it gains the power. You starve, you fast one day, and look at how you see the food the next day. And I know, because I started doing that, and next day it's like, oh, it tastes so beautiful, it tastes so good. So it sharpens your indriyas, right? So you need to have the deficiency once in a while, or you need to build that deficiency into the system to make sure that you understand that hunger and thirst, so that the indriyas become sharper. So one of the reasons to do fasting is this, to keep indriyas intact, to keep it intact. Right? And there are so many benefits, but fasting is to keep your indriyas intact. I mean, I'm saying fasting as in, see, another thing with us, our tradition is, fasting means not eating rice. And I don't know about North India and other parts of India, especially in South India, especially in Karnataka, do not eat anna, right? Anna in Sanskrit means food. Anna in Kannada means rice, right? So no anna today means so you eat everything except the rice. Now that's not the fasting I'm talking about. I'm actually that's why it should be nirahara, no ahara. That means there's nothing. You're not putting anything in the body, right? So next stage is, how do you win over this desire? Because now we know how the desire comes into the system. How do you win? What is that sadhana? And then how that leads into the theory of creation. How should you do the sadhana? It opens up all these fascinating things that we'll take up in the next class. Okay?
When they say vinashkara,
Viprita buddhi is that. Yeah.
At the end, that's what you viprita.
Yeah, you lose the discrimination. Viprita buddhi means you think good is bad, bad is good. When you want to be destroyed, that's how you think.
That's something like that got into Hitler and all.
Yeah, Vinashakala Viprita. Yeah, Hitler and all those guys. Yeah. And they rationalized this as Aryan versus the Jews and all of those things. That was a rationalization. But the whole thing was, it was their tamasic, the power, the greed for power. Okay. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum Om